There were many great bands, and I loved the Beach Boys, but they were just young boys back then. Later, they grew up and became beach men. In 1979, George Harrison watched his ex-wife, Pattie Boyd, marry his best friend, Eric Clapton. People called it the most romantic love story in rock history, but what followed was full of pain. For 8 years, Pattie lived in fear. She spent thousands trying to have a baby while Eric secretly had children with other women. Then in 1999, he made a shocking confession on camera. At 80, Pattie finally revealed which marriage was worse, and her answer surprised everyone. Pattie Boyd was born on March 17, 1944, in Taunton, Somerset. Her mother, Diana, had expected a boy and planned to name him Michael. Her father, Colin Jock Boyd, was 23 when he met Diana, who was just 17. Their age difference affected their relationship from the start. After Pattie was born, the family kept moving because her father was in the RAF. They lived in Scotland and then Guildford, Surrey. It made life unstable. In 1952, when Pattie was 8, she returned home from boarding school and discovered her parents had quietly divorced. No one told her. From 1948 to 1953, the family lived in Kenya during the Mau Mau uprising, where thousands were killed. It was a violent, frightening time. Pattie went to school in Nakuru and saw soldiers everywhere. One day, her mother arrived with a man she had never seen and said, "This is your new father." His name was Bobby Gamer Jones. That's how Pattie found out her mother had remarried, right in the middle of a war. After the divorce, Pattie was sent to strict Catholic convent schools, where nuns only taught girls to be good wives. But Pattie didn't want to get married. She secretly read Vogue under her blanket and dreamed of fashion and freedom. By 15, she had only passed 3 O-levels, not because she wasn't smart, but because no one believed in her. In 1959, she returned to England and worked as a shampoo girl at Elizabeth Arden's salon in London, earning just £3 a week. One day, a client from Honey magazine suggested she try modeling. Pattie agreed, and that meeting changed her life. Soon, she was appearing in fashion magazines, even on the cover of Vogue. At home, things were rough. Her stepfather, Bobby Gamer Jones, lost his business and became violent. He shouted and sometimes hit the children. Pattie finally left home to find independence. London in the 1960s was full of art, music, and fashion, and Pattie fit right in. By 1964, she had become one of Britain's top models. She worked with famous photographers like David Bailey, appeared in Vogue, and helped define the British look: miniskirts, straight hair, and big eyes. She even earned more than most people made in a week. She modeled for L'Oreal, Revlon, and many top brands. But her life changed forever on March 2, 1964. While filming A Hard Day's Night, she met George Harrison of the Beatles. He asked her to marry him on the first day they met. She refused at first because she had a boyfriend, but 10 days later, she agreed to dinner. 2 years later, in 1966, she married George. Pattie became a global style icon, appearing in movies, TV ads, and magazines. She also followed George into Indian spirituality and even took rare photos of the Beatles during their trip to India in 1968. She later auctioned those photos decades later for thousands of dollars. George wrote the song Something, which many believed was about her. But their marriage began to crumble. George became distant and had affairs, including with Ringo Starr's wife. Pattie felt unloved and lonely. Around this time, Eric Clapton, George's best friend, fell in love with her. He wrote Layla about his obsession with Pattie. Eventually, in 1973, she had an affair with Eric. George told Eric, "You can have her." Pattie and George divorced in 1977, and she married Eric in 1979. At first, people thought Pattie and Eric's love was romantic, but life with him was worse. Eric drank heavily and often became violent. He yelled, smashed things, and even kicked her during drunken rages. Pattie said she prayed he would pass out before hurting her. She desperately tried to have a child and went through painful fertility treatments, but Eric had a daughter, Ruth, with another woman in secret. Patty didn't find out until years later. Then, he had another child, Connor, with model Lori Del Santo. Patty was devastated. Connor tragically died at age 4 after falling from a window in 1991. In 1999, Eric admitted in an interview that he had forced Patty into sex during their marriage, saying he just took what was mine. There were no legal consequences. Patty left him in 1987 and filed for divorce, citing adultery and cruelty. Later, he admitted he never really loved her, he only wanted to take her from George. Patty told her side of the story in her 2007 memoir Wonderful Tonight, which became a bestseller. She revealed the abuse, affairs, and trauma she endured. After leaving Eric, she focused on her photography. She had taken photos of the Beatles, George, and Eric for years and began showing them in galleries. Her exhibits were a success, earning thousands of dollars. Even with fame and success, she carried deep pain from her marriages. She spent thousands on therapy and finally learned to heal. In 2015, Patty married Rod Weston, a kind man she had known since the 1980s. They lived peacefully in West Sussex. In 2022, she published My Life in Pictures, a photo book filled with her personal memories and photos from her life with George and the Beatles. Then in 2024, her private collection of letters, photos, and lyrics sold at auction for $3.6 million. She donated much of the money to women's charities. At 80, Patty said something that touched everyone: despite everything, George Harrison was her true love. They stayed friends until his death in 2001. She said, "If you love somebody, you do that." After years of heartbreak, she finally found peace, and her story became one of strength, survival, and self-worth.